Ben today, and we're going to have a chat. Hello, Ben.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What is it you do then?
Well, apparently I'm a composer and sound designer for media. So, computer games, film, TV, any sort of music, really. I guess I'm a musician at the heart of it, but I kind of went through every form of musician thing you can do. I've done everything from the business side of it to playing. So, but I am a sound designer and composer now. That's my paid job.
So we're at your home today. Is this the place that you normally work, or do you have a studio as well?
I'm supposed to go into the office, X amount of days a week. It really depends on what needs doing project-wise. So, so I've got my little home set up, and then we can go to the office studios and do all the mixing, mastering, anything like that. But I try to get as much done as I can at home, really, because it's comfortable and I have an infinite supply of coffee. So,
and does it transfer nicely from home to work studio? Or is it the same formats?
I rarely mix, unless I'm really desperate. I won't really kind of broach that, but I do try and set templates and stuff like that I know sort of work depending on genre, style, etc. But yeah.
I suppose you need a good setup.
Yeah, yes and no. Depends on your approach, I've had some incredible productions done on the most minimal gear, It's just your attitude towards it, I think.
Indeed, and I think some people swear by mixing on headphones as well, which I can't get my head around that.
And that's fair, man. That is fair, yeah. There's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of yes and no, but I think there's is it Stephen Slate headphones? Is it SVS ones?
Oh, is that the ones where they put you in a room? And stuff?
So they model rooms and stuff like that. They got a couple of friends who swear by them. You know what I mean? Because they haven't got treated rooms at homes, but their mixes turned out like whoa.
Oh, really? Right.
So and they've been doing it on that. Yeah, well, yeah. I guess it's doing what you can with what you got.
I guess, yeah. I suppose you have to. If you have to do it that way, you have to do it that way. And I suppose with these room models, you've got like a great means to do it in a room, because I suppose with just the headphones, the left and the right, not quite the same, is it, as a real speaker? I think somebody explained it to me like if you've got the left speaker, you hear that the left speaker, you hear that in your both ears, don't you?
Oh, yeah, fair.
Whereas I suppose when you've got a headphone on and you pan straight to the left, you just hear it in the left.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty good at discerning, If I'm panning stuff, then I can make sure I definitely notice it more, I think, Again, I think positioning, but each to their own, man. It's just like you say, it's one of those interesting things, isn't it?
It is interesting. It's interesting to me, and it's probably interesting to you, but it might not be interesting to a lot of people.
No, geek out time.
Geek out, yeah. So what kind of projects do you work on then?
So the day job, as I call it, that's primarily like sound design and music composition for games, which is great fun, because the projects are different each time. And yeah, that's good. But I do a lot of external work as well for in my spare time, because, I'll sleep when I'm dead sort of thing, I just like to stay busy. I find it difficult to not do anything. So the external jobs, films, TV, jingles, adverts, writing stuff with people and for people, other artists and labels, sample packs, whatever I feel like doing really, which is good. I'm grateful that my day job keeps me, in the beer and the food and the whatnot. But I like the passion projects as well. So I've just finished a film with a guy in New Zealand, which is a really lovely little short film. That was just finished. The audio was mixed at Peter Jackson's Park Road post-production studios. So that's quite an honour to have my compositions being mixed there by a team that's done, everything. Incredible film. So that's a nice little tick off the box. But
Indeed,
but it keeps me out of trouble.
Can you mention the film?
Oh, no. Signed an NDA, and there's no trailers or anything out. No. We've got 2 years left.
2 years?
Yeah. So it's a long, it's already been 2 years. So it's a long production. And I've done ones in the past, but they didn't get finished. They either left on the cutting room floor, or my favourite one was the producer and the director fell out. And that was it, and they just didn't finish it.
Right, okay. Now, did you put much time into that at that stage?
Yeah. That was a year, and that was film 4. Well, it was going to be. The aim was film 4. They were partially funding it from what I remember, but none of this is going to get me in trouble because it's already all out there. But yeah.
Do you get paid in that scenario, or you still got paid?
Yeah, I learned a long time ago to if you want my time and experience, then cough up. So, I've got a track record. I've got plenty of happy clients and customers, so I'm, again, grateful for that. People come back to me. But don't do anything for free. I certainly don't do anything for exposure.
Oh, no. Well, you can do that. You can do that all the time, can't you?
The flip side of that, though, is that I don't mind doing a free job if it's a project or something I can get behind. Like, I have done independent films projects, little documentaries, comedies, because sometimes you just go, yeah, I quite believe in this. It's quite good fun. I don't expect it to suddenly blow up or anything, but stranger things have happened at sea,
True.
But sometimes it makes me realize I was sounding very much like a mercenary then, and I'm not really a mercenary, but
I totally get it, to be honest. I mean, I could be very, very busy working for free, and I've got the same sort of outlook. I won't really do anything for free. I mean, I don't mind doing something on a low budget if the client's got a really low budget.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some money exchanging hands somewhere, because bills need to be paid,
For sure, man, yeah. And I hate to say, the whole expression time is money. And also, you may find this completely infuriating as well. Like, there's always a budget for cameras and lighting and this and that, but suddenly, I can't afford a composer.
Yeah.
Can't afford the guy to do the audio restoration because they cocked up recording with the microphones and stuff like that, But depending on the project and depending who it is, I'd be like, right, fine, but you owe me, sort of thing, And, it's good to come calling at 3 o'clock in the morning.
True.
I've come to collect my payment.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my jobs are more sort of corporate. I have been in the past. I mean, like I say, I've not really done any films. And to me, I would sort of class a film as something that somebody would go and watch, not a corporate video that's sort of thrust in front of employees that they have to watch. And I've done a few of those, but, it's just music that nobody really hears apart from a few employees. From what you're saying, it sounds like your business is pretty stable, which is brilliant. I guess from my point of view, Touchwood, from what I do, it's kind of changing at the moment, because stock music has sort of lost its value because everybody's lowered the prices to next to nothing. So and there's loads of people doing it now, because there's literally no barrier. Anybody can set up in the bedroom on a laptop, create some music and send it into these libraries, and it gets hosted. So usually there's some that have got quality controls, but there's a lot where you can get away with. I mean, Pond 5, for example, you could pretty much get anything in there. But they've got millions of tracks, and it's like, as the track pool grows and then they start doing subscriptions, you can't get the income from the libraries anymore that you did.
For sure, yeah. So as I say, I'm grateful to have the job I'm in, but it's not something I've been doing a long, long time, and if that makes any sense. But so I class myself as a jack of all trades. I wouldn't say master of none, because I'm pretty good. But I think everything. I found that I just needed to be able to do everything and anything, whether it was writing, composition, audio restoration, mixing, mastering, anything and anything to try and make some money. And it does get quite bleak, what it did in the past, so, that's why I'm kind of grateful where I am now. But, it's not been an easy route. Right. There's no way I can say it's been an easy route. In the long ago, I used to have two jobs. I used to work for the NHS. I was doing IT, and then I'd do everything else on the side, and it'll be good times. We got lots of jobs coming in, and then, nothing would be barren, and thankfully I'd have my IT job to tick me over and stuff like that. So, and I just landed a few right time, right place, So I still firmly believe in networking and stuff like that, meeting someone, and then 2 months later they call you up out of the blue. You've not heard from them, and they're like, what are you up to? I'm like, not much. Cool, you want to come and work for Channel 4? Yes, please. Whatever, That's it, it's like, what you're doing, nothing, give me a job.
Yeah. So would you say networking has been the way to do it for you?
In a way, yeah. Or just, meeting people, and then, I don't know, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but leaving a lasting impression on them.
Right, okay. It depends how you leave the impression.
Well, yeah, that's true, yeah. So I guess I like to leave a positive impression, even if they just go, that guy was a bit much, but yeah, but I have managed to sort of get these jobs just by sort of networking and all, and which is good, So do
you do any of the stuff online, or do you just do it in real life?
Mixture of both. Mixture of both, yeah. So there's always those groups, Stage 32. There's tons of groups out there.
Oh, is there? I've not really joined
Upwork,
one yet.
stuff like that.
Upwork, yeah,
things like that. There's loads of them. That it's just good for talking to people, and you will get a lot of shysters, people who will lie to you and whatever. But there are some genuines out there, and you've just got to have your BS meter on high sensitivity to pick that stuff up sometimes. But the way I look at it is like you shouldn't let that detract from the good that is out there. There are good people out there, and there are people that are seeking a proper, working relationship who don't want to run away with your music. But again, some people do.
I suppose for me it's been slightly different because all of it's come from the web and Google. But because competition is increasing now, I'm sort of looking to network more. So it's good to hear that that's the way to maybe do it.
It's quite old school, isn't it? In a way, I think. Yeah. But I think those practices will still be maintained. All they've done, they've just been taken online. It's your LinkedIn's, your Twines and stuff like that.
Twine,
things like that.
There's a load of crap on there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Have you ever got a job through Twine?
No, not yet.
I'm on the free one.
I'm on the free one. To be fair, I've only been on it like about 4 days.
Oh, well, you've got plenty of time.
And to be honest, I've not applied for everything because I just can't be bothered. I think I looked into one job and it was just like, this job's reached its free application levels. Like, the amount that it can do based on free accounts. And I was like, I don't really want it that bad to pay for your service.
That's what I'm trying to get you to do.
And I get it. That's their business model. And equally, I understand people want those jobs and they will pay the premium account and they will go, bang, please apply. Please stay and give me that job. And I respect that as well.
But Twine was an interesting one because I registered with it probably, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I've been on it ages. Has it been around that long? Probably, yeah. I mean, it must be at least a couple of years I've been on it. Yeah. And it was always, they never had that, the free applications are timed out or whatever it says now. You could always apply, and I applied for a lot of the free ones in the past, and nothing came from it. But I would see certain jobs and I'd go, it's not for me. It's not for me. And then I'd see jobs and go, I could really do that. And I'd send them a big long email and demos and all the rest of it, thinking it's an ideal match. That nothing came from a lot of it, none of it. And so nothing. I had a couple of replies back from some of them, but that was it. And then they've got this thing on now that I find them in the email and I go, I fancy that. And you click on it, it's too late. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not against paying for something, but I just have never, because I've used it free for so long, I've never got anything from it for free. I don't see what the difference would be if I pay for it.
And that's absolutely fair play, man. Yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, I've only been on it a few days, so I'm like, but as a long-suffering person.
You have to let me know in a year or two's time whether you got any work through it.
That's only if I actually bothered to reply, man. I set up my page and everything, and I put some links on it, and I just went, whatever.
It's work.
Well, if someone comes, that's it. And that's what they say, getting a job is a job in itself. You know what I mean? So I really understand that. Before the TV gigs and then before coming up here, you know what I mean? I was scratching around and it was difficult, man. I applied for so many jobs. Got to I'll tell you an interesting story if you want to hear about this from the computer game industry. Yeah. So this is post-COVID and things are settling down a bit, and I applied for this job for this really cool company out in Canada. Basically, I got down to the final two, demos after demos and calls after calls and stuff like that. I basically got down to the final two and it just went on and went on. I was just like, okay, I'm feeling good about this. This is pretty good. I said, the only way this is going to go horribly wrong is if the other person has shipped a AAA game, because I haven't shipped a AAA game. Oh, right, okay. Guess what? He shipped a AAA game, and that's the only reason he got the job. And it crushed me, man. It really did. It really crushed me. I was just like, got to be kidding me. How do you get that experience without doing it? It's that whole weird cycle, it really just got to me, you know what I mean?
Did it?
So
right.
Yeah. So it's just like, again, I had to.
So do you think you could have done more to get it, or do you think you'd done your push to your limit?
I think I did what I could. It was, talking to the director and the lead producer, they were very much like, it's just because that person has AAA game experience, you know what I mean? They come from another studio that shipped a couple of titles, and I'm like, I can't match that. If that's the criteria that you require for whatever to appease your shareholders, then so be it. You know what I mean? But also,
yeah. Yeah, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's like if somebody approached me to write a computer game music, then it's a completely different discipline to anything I've done before.
Fair.
Because you've got, from what I know about it, you've got the loop situation where it's got to evolve into loops and it's got to be changeable quickly and all that. And that's a bit of a brain ache, isn't it?
It is, but it's also incredibly fun. It's, once you get into, you sound like an experienced musician, you know what I mean? It's all variations on the theme, you know what I mean? Just like once you've written a little theme, put anything else you want. One of my favorite things that I talk about with that particular thing is like, if you think about Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo, See, then when he goes underground, I
think so, I'm not totally familiar.
Okay, right. Yeah. So bear with me this one. Yeah. So that theme is iconic, right, for a gamer, but in all the different iterations of the Mario games, they've done it in smooth jazz, they've done it in drum and bass, they've done it in like heavy metal. It's just that same theme, just slightly different, in a different sort of musical tone, you know what I mean? And I guess that's how I look at writing stuff for games, it's just like, you do need the action bit, but cool back, take that cool little hook that you have in the other bit and put it in there, but just like ramp it up to 10. That's how I'd approach it.
So it's just about sort of understanding the structure of music and
yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes,
are you taught, sort of traditionally taught with?
I was self-taught.
Self-taught,
but
I am as well.
Recent years, I had to learn theory just to like keep on track with it. Because
cheating though, that isn't it?
What's
theory?
That?
It's cheating. No, it's not. I'm just being daft.
I still play from. Yeah, when I write my own stuff, for example, write with bands for myself, I definitely still write from my heart. It's got to feel right. It's just having that. It's just like the way I look at it. It's just having like a different weapon in your arsenal to call upon. You know what I mean? But again, there's trappings as well. There's trappings because you're like, that should go there.
Yes.
But you don't want it to.
You don't want it to.
And then you're like, okay, we'll go here. And they're like, that sounds naughty.
I don't use any theory. I just smash the sounds out on the keys.
Fair.
And then when something's not working, you can then look at the notes and work out the chord and think, that's in the wrong place. Yeah. And that's where I find my theory comes in. My theory's self-taught and it's limited. It's not like, some people's theory. Where
No, I've got a lot of who I call my music nerd friends that I still speak to about things occasionally when I just got a quite complex piece of music here and I need some help, and like they'll look at my score and they'll be like, right, here's your problem, and they'll sort of explain. I'm like, right, makes sense, and I'm like, I'm not changing it though.
Right,
because I like how it sounds. And they're like, it sounds fine, but it's not X reason why. That's why it sounds weird to the ear or something like that. Yeah. So
when you say score, do you actually do the notation and all that as well?
Well, it depends. If I'm working with orchestras and stuff like that, which I have done, or like quartets or whatever, or violas. And
so, how do you find working with orchestras then?
It's fun. I mean, basically, I'm very lucky because you give it to like an actual score writer who then goes over it with the conductor, and they just make sure it works. Yes. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I remember in like long ago, the recent past, we send the score out. For a project, and like they send it back going, just like all these notes going, you can't do that. You can't do that. That doesn't work because X reason. I'm like, right, okay. It's like, or in the digital realm, yes. But again, it's just learning, isn't it?
It's like
how about you play this instead? And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like the brass instrument, isn't it? It's like on a keyboard, you can play a brass instrument forever, but a brass player can't. He has to breathe. Yeah. I know that because I play the trombone in a community band just as a hobby. And so, I'm quite conscious when I'm writing brass parts that the brass players have to breathe.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Again, there's that need for realism, especially to appease yourself sometimes. But then equally, there's sometimes where you can just go wild and just hold those keys and kill that imaginary brass player.
Yeah.
But it depends on the song, doesn't it? It depends on the project.
Yeah. I suppose it's good to be able to hand it over to somebody to sort the score out.
If someone else is paying for it, then I don't muck around with that. I'd rather give it to someone who I know whose job is literally just to go through it and go, Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Here's some notes because they haven't got X amount of viola players that day, or cool. Yeah, no, we've only got 3 trumpets for that session, so you're gonna have to get rid of this one, and but that's their job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
because I can't imagine. I mean, all of my stuff is just with samples, and I can't imagine the step from actually taking it from samples to getting it in an orchestra played.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good options now as well, because it used to be that some of the people that came to my library used to hire orchestras to get stuff done, and it was silly money.
Oh yeah,
it's a hell of an investment. Whereas now I see things like the Northern Film Orchestra, and you look and you think, well, that's achievable.
Yeah. It is.
And there's loads of other ones like where they've got session players as well. I forget the name of. There's a few of them I've seen around. I can't remember.
God damn it! I get emails from them occasionally.
Yeah, I do.
Offer me some sweet ass deal to come back. You've used us before.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah.
I'll find the URL and I'll put it on the screen. What do you think about AI? Does it scare the bejeebus out of you?
No, not really, dude. No. And I'll tell you my thinking for this. I think the best way I like to talk about it is just like the difference between the acoustic guitar and the electric guitar. People were used to the acoustic guitar, and then someone came along and electrified that and went, "What is this witchery?" It was it's a bit of a change.
In a film called Back to the Future in 1955, was
it? Yeah, Marty McFly. Yeah. God damn it, Marty. But I think that was the first point. And if you think about synthesizers, and then there was a need for someone to actually play them properly and someone to actually program them. So there was jobs created from that. And then like the advent of MIDI and stuff like that, people are like, oh no, you can't have all this, it's going to put musicians out of work. And you're like, no, because all the sample libraries, with all due respect to all these companies, still sound a bit pants compared to the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, they still do, really, don't they, to be fair?
I think so.
I mean, you can get away with an orchestral sample sort of library.
Yeah.
You can't, you don't hear the real thing.
Once you know what the real thing sounds like, you can never turn back. But like, people will argue that, the average listener doesn't care. And I'm like, well, that's the average listener. But there's still people out there who will need to hire these people to do the jobs for themselves. So I can say the same. I think the same for AI. Yes, you get all these people churning out these tracks and all this nonsense and stuff like that. And yes, that is disconcerting, especially for how they've gathered all that data. But that's a rant I can definitely get on.
That is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's the rant I can get behind. But I think it's one of those things you've just got to sort of move with it. You either accept it or you don't. It's no skin off their knees. They're still going to plow on. Yeah. If you don't use it, that's great. If you use it, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just like another thing. Yeah. But ultimately, there are some cool things you can do with it. But I still prefer to play. And I'm again going back to like clients and stuff like that. They were like, there's no AI on this, is there? I'm like, no. They're like, cool. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Do you know that's going to be very important? I'm going to do some videos on my own YouTube channel. I've got them all planned because there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about AI. And there's going to be a point where if anybody uses AI in any part of their song, it will be flagged. Because they're putting sort of digital sniffers into things. I mean, like Deezer, for instance, that now knows when something's got AI in it and flags it. And there's a law coming in the EU that means companies are going to have to flag something that's got AI.
That's interesting, yeah. I did hear about things like that. And then, I like trawling around on the Reddit pages, for all these, all the people who like to like get a bit subversive about these sort of things, and they're like, "I will find a way around it," and I'm like, just to prove a point. I'm like, for God's sake, get a lot, find something better to do with your time. I think they're
not going to find a way around it.
We'll see. We'll see.
I tell you why I don't.
If you strip out the audio, get it down to a spectrosonic level, find that imprint and remove it. You have to know how to do it. Don't get me wrong, but there are people out there who will just do it just to be.
I'm not sure how you can. I mean, I could be wrong, but
it's all ones and zeros, is it not? It's all binary.
Well, the thing is, it's the DNA, isn't it? So it's like if you were to sit down now and come up with a piece of music from scratch, your kind of process and your DNA is in that. And then you would record it in high quality and make the stems and all the rest of it. Whereas AI, it scraped millions and millions of tracks, and the DNA of all those artists and those producers is in that model. Yeah. And so when somebody puts in a text prompt and spits out a track that's like a Christmas... There was a guy on YouTube and he did a load of Christmas stuff, and it was just like Mariah Carey was in the room, and all these Christmas tracks were just complete rip-offs of other Christmas tracks. Yeah. And so you can... There's no question about it. You could tell where that was trained.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I totally agree with the whole scraping of data thing. I think it was an interesting, on a related note, there was that band, was it Velvet Sunrise or Velvet Sunset?
Oh, the AI one.
Yeah, and they had like hundreds of thousands of followers, and then the guy just went, yeah, it's AI, duh. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sort of vibe, and I was just like, okay, and he just disappeared, took his sweet earnings from Spotify and buggered off.
Yeah, a lot of those are fake though, aren't they? Because there's a lot of scam there. There's a lot of fake plays on Spotify.
Oh, that's a different kind of fish.
Yeah, because Deezer...
Bot farms.
Yes, farms that's it. Because there's a thing about Deezer. They've tracked now AI, and they track fraudulent plays as well from bot farms, and they just don't give them the money.
Yeah, that's fair.
So when people start going on about, there's an AI artist that's number one, it's not. It's nonsense. It's just somebody has scammed the system because it's made by AI. It's like if you made a song now and started to promote it on Spotify, you'd have to put a hell of a lot of promotion into it.
Oh, yeah, there's that. There's that guy who went to jail recently because he earned, was it $18 million or something?
I can't remember, but I remember seeing something where somebody had gone to prison.
I mean, fair play to the guy. I mean, he got busted and he's now, you're reaping what you sowed and all that. But like, he lived the life of Riley for... a year and a half or something. Then he got a bit flashy, but I tell you what did make me chuckle earlier, and I do stand by this side of things. Like if you put a prompt into an audio generator or something, you're not a musician. I don't care what people say. I follow this. So is it Suno? Suno. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So. I follow this Facebook group just for the giggles, really, because I just, it's interesting to see what people are up to and, and how the technology is moving along. But there was this guy, he came on today and he was just like, I hate being told I'm not an artist. Just, all my songs, I made them myself. And then like he was explaining that what he does is, so he writes his lyrics, which are heartfelt. Fair enough. You're a lyricist at this stage for me. Yeah. So he puts it into Suno. And creates a song. Yeah.
You might use something else to write as well.
Well, that, ChatGPT. Yeah. Write me an emotional ballad, ChatGPT. I'm feeling sad. But at the moment, for me, he's a lyricist. Because he then puts his lyrics into Suno and it generates a track for him with an AI vocalist. So that's not him singing and that's not him writing the music. So at the moment, for me, he's a loose lyricist at best, Yeah. But this post was just comedy gold, man. But he went on this massive rant, and it's just hilarious. And then, there was just hundreds of comments of people just going, dude, you're not an artist, You literally use scraped data in an LLM to create your tunes. How are you an actual musician? And people were then explaining to him how music works and stuff like that. Yeah. But this is the thing. That's the part I find quite delusional when the people, you can put in a prompt. I'm like, oh, great. Anybody can.
I guess for me, my view is I'm quite open-minded to AI, but like you say, those people are delusional. And I just wonder how much it matters to us. And I don't think those people will matter to us because they're not trying to do the thing we do. So I think where we're going to benefit is in the fact that everything's going to be traceable. And so all of this stuff that's been scraped, the mainstream music industry is making tools to track it. So any company that comes along and is a cheapskate and says, right, we'll just get a free AI track, and then they stick it on their advertising campaign for their brand, that's not going to wash because eventually it's going to get flagged. And, our company's really going to use AI to make music.
Yeah, they will. I think so. Because didn't Disney sign that deal with Anthropic recently for like an insane amount of money? And also, Warner, the record arm of Warner, signed that deal with it's not Suno, the other music generation platform.
Udio.
Yes. May have been them.
See,
so that's an interesting thing, a record label signing an agreement with that.
But I think that's for a different reason.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to see what data they scraped.
Well, it's their data that's being scraped.
Yeah, for sure.
It's their data that's being used, along with millions of independent artists. But we haven't got the power to sue them. But I think they've got involved because obviously it's their IP. Yeah. So if all of a sudden Suno can use their IP to generate lots of money, then they're going to get involved. And I think what they've done, because they realise they can't go back, they've sort of partnered with them, really. So they're going to be getting some of the revenue. Now, I can't see that it'll be anything more than personal users making music with sort of prompts and lyrics.
It's interesting. That's interesting you should say. Yeah, I would say, 98% of it?
I don't know how a business would manage to use it unless...
98% of the generative tracks won't make any money.
No.
They won't even reach 1,000 plays, which is the threshold for Spotify.
It'd be a fun thing for people to do.
Yeah, and that's a different thing. So, it's fun. Fun is cool.
Have you heard of Sora? Yeah, well, Sora's closing down. And I saw a thing in an email newsletter, and basically they've lost millions and millions of users because they had like a peak of users and then it's dropped off, and now they're just closing. They're not saying exactly why they're closing it.
I guess everyone's going to other platforms because you get those like cognitive platforms now where you can have like Gemini and Google's other things, and then Kling and the other ones that are coming through.
There's a few, isn't there?
Nano Banana and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's all like, you pay one subscription fee through this website and you get access to all of them. So, but I hadn't heard this or closing down. That's interesting because they were flavour of the month for ages.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I mean, there's some amazing stuff out there. I don't know where that's going to go on the image side of it, but the music side of it, I'm convinced that it won't sort of really affect us in the sense that AI will be used instead of us, unless, I mean, Suno is like, I think one of them, it's either Udio or Suno. Now they've reached a settlement. You can't download the music you create in it.
Oh,
and that's because of the case with the major labels. Yeah, and so they're going to want to get the money back, and so personal users making tracks, I can see that, but I can't see them saying, right, we're going to license this to businesses.
Okay,
I can't imagine it.
No, it's interesting, but yeah, there was that big deal. As I say, I think one of a few record labels were like snapping up huge amounts of shares in these things. But on the flip side, like I think there is again, we could rage against the whole where do you get this information from sort of conversation, and that does bug me. You know what I mean?
Does it?
It does in a way.
You think your tracks have been scraped?
No, I'm not that important, but
I bet they have. If they're out there in the world,
there is that. But what I guess. It's a tool. It's an interesting tool. And I noticed like the Suno have like now branched out. They've got Suno Studio.
Yes, I've noticed that.
So, you can put in a little melody that you've hummed and it'll sort of tidy it up for you, pitch correct it and all for you. So that's okay, you know what I mean? And then it'll be like, okay, create me a funk jazz track, on a guitar, and then put crushing death metal behind it or whatever. You can put these weird combinations together. Not that's a weird combination. But I think as a fun little tool, it's cool. Yeah. But again, I don't think it's going to put professional, well-versed musicians out.
I mean, I think you've got to be a bit careful using it as well, because if you are a composer and you think I can take a shortcut, you could end up in the shit. Because the problem is every time you hum something that's your original melody, you could come up with a brilliant melody and you hum it into one of these tools. It gets absorbed into the tool and becomes part of the model.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Any production that you put in there, say you come up with a piece of music that you can't think of an ending or how to change it, and you put that in there for suggestion, then your music's absorbed into that then.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's training the LLM. That's it. That's what it's doing. Yeah, and I get that. I understand that.
Yeah. But some people don't, and they're putting loading their MP3s into it to finish stuff off, and you think, well, you've now give it away to that, so it might turn up somewhere, And then the other problem is once you've got the thing out of it, you can't use the thing out of it because there's no copyright in it. You can't copyright AI music because you can't copyright something that's generated by a machine. So the only way you can copyright music is by having a human involved in creating it.
Okay, may I ask you your thoughts on this then? So a LLM that's been trained on a particular human vocalist who got paid for their time to create this model, and they had to record 40 hours of vocals for that particular voice. Someone comes in and uses that tool, and it's in a piano roll in MIDI, and you have to move the notes around, you have to type in the words, and you have to put all the inflections and the delivery and the breaths in it. You know, it's a piece of art in itself, creating this. What's your view on calling that your own piece of work?
I think you've got absolutely 100% right to call that your own work.
Fair.
Yeah, because the difference there is that's like a sample library, really, that's just beyond samples, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
It's got AI in it. And that's what our sample libraries will end up being, I think. They'll end up with AI involved. I mean, if you look at a studio, I mean, they've got like violins. But at the moment, my violins have got like a key switch to change articulation. And it's a pain in the arse to expressively play a melody
for sure
with a key switch, or then the other old-fashioned way of doing it. I don't know. I can't work out which one's best: the key switch or two tracks, one with the short articulation, one with the long, and then you have to faff around.
Yeah,
I mean,
depending how I'm feeling. Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, and I still can't work out which one I hate the least, I should say. And AI is going to cure that completely because it's just. I mean, it's already doing it in a studio, isn't it? Because there's samples in there that instruments you can play. I
don't know, man. See, I've got an Ace account because I like it because I was an early adopter. Because myself and some friends of mine, we made our own one.
Your own what?
Own AI vocalist.
Did you?
For better. We've now got 6. So we've been building our own little thing, and like we were, looking at not about the competitions to say, but just like, how do we go about this?
Is that available commercially? Is it?
No, not at the moment. No, this is just for us. It was just something we needed to do for various reasons. But I quite like Ace as a thing. But again, the expression and control of the instruments and the fact they don't sound good to me.
Yeah, they don't. They've got some
and I play
go
around with them a lot. You know what I mean? But for me, they're still not there.
So what you're saying is the advert that I've seen where they play all these different instruments and all the articulations just jump in magically. That's not quite.
No. You've still got to do a lot of editing in it. Yeah, there's nonsense. Yeah, there's no. Yeah. Yeah, but for my personal experience, man, because like, how do you even quantify that? Do you know what I mean? You're just like you're playing a little motif and all, and the real player would know how to slowly, chill on the volume and stuff like that. Whereas, it's just going to go meh, and you're like, no, fade out. But yeah, that's my experience with it, and they just they've got that weird cheap sample honk, as my friend in Sweden calls it. He's like, Ben, this has got this cheap honk on it. Did you get proper musician to play this? Fuck off, man. Sorry. But yeah, to my ear, it still sounds a bit.
But the whole, I find that the music that's generated overall from AI has this cheap sample sort of sound.
Yeah, it's interesting though. But again, I think we could go back and we could argue the toss. And this is one thing that keeps coming up on these like Suno pages and other AI groups that I like to keep an eye on, mostly because of the chaos it descends into your points. But some people will say that the average listener doesn't care. That can annoy me depending on how I'm feeling that day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was because that's almost dismissing people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And what they qualify as music and qualify as what they can hear and stuff like that. So when someone says that, I just go, well, you're cheapening the whole experience anyway, and now you're just dismissing your target audience. So why would you do that, man?
If I saw that somebody was making AI tracks, I'd maybe listen to one or two out of interest, and then that would be it. I wouldn't think, oh yeah, I'm a fan of their music. So I don't know how many average listeners would have that opinion that, well, if it's AI, I'm not really interested in getting into it. I would rather listen to music made by real people.
For sure. But you think about Spotify and, well, most of the rotational sort of playlist sort of streaming media platforms, you will get like bands, and you don't know what these bands are. Are they made up? You know, I mean, are they like legit people? And like my cousin, he's not a musician, you know, but he listens to a lot of music. He absorbs a lot of music. And he came across an artist the other day. And he was like, I'm very interested in this. And he was like, I dived into this. It's like, it's an AI band. It's one guy. And I went, interesting. But you looked into it because you were like, oh, I want to know more about this person or this singer. And you found out it was an AI. I was like, how did that make you feel? And he was like, well, I felt a bit cheap and dirty.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting coming from somebody who's not a musician.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, yeah, there is this, you know, does it matter? And yes, it does sort of argument. And I think overall, that's how it will just continue to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe context will have an impact as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because it's like one of the things I've sold licenses for in previous years is background music in venues.
Okay.
Now, nobody really gives a shit what's playing in the background in most scenarios, do they? You know, if you walk into a shop and you're in there for 10 minutes, you're not really bothered about the background music. So,
I don't know. Listen to some bangers in there, you know what I mean? You're just like, what? It's stock music. Out comes Shazam. I'm like, cool. That's well good. You know, stock music 107 from the
Suno library.
Funky Jams library on some company. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm not going to lie to you. I have done that, and I've come across some stuff that I've just been like, oh, it is from somebody's library, you know, and I've been like, that's great.
Yeah, there's some good stock music out there. I mean, we've been through a sort of a time with stock music where it used to be shit, and then it started getting better. And I think that was mainly down to the fact that there wasn't as many people doing it, and the stuff that you could get to do it wasn't very good.
Fair, yeah,
you know, It's like. You know, in sort of the 1990s, the sample libraries you could fit into your hardware sampler were tiny.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you couldn't get the sounds that you can now on a PC or a Mac.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I think as that's improved and the price, because I remember years ago in the year 2000, I went to do some, it was like work experience in a radio studio where they were recording jingles.
Nice.
Because I was trying to get into it and he said, well, I've got no job for you, but you can come down for a week if you want and see what goes on. And I thought there might be a job at the end of that, you know, because he obviously wanted me there for a reason.
Yeah.
Turns out there was a job at the end of it, but he gave it to his son. So that's fair enough.
Nepotism.
I know. But when I was there, I met this guy called Morris, who was a composer, and he'd done loads of stuff for like TV and that. I had like this setup, and I had like a hardware sampler and some sound modules and a Korg M1.
Nice.
It was a good keyboard, and I'd created some decent tunes, but they all had that sound of that time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And this guy that I met that was doing it as a full-time thing, he just spent, I forget the name of the library he'd bought, but he just bought like an orchestral library, and it sounded amazing. And he said to me, oh, it was 30 grand. And you think, and that's what you were up against then, you know. And it's like the guy that ran the station. He said, "Well, and he was pretty harsh about my music. I won't mention him, but yeah, he was pretty harsh about my music. And he said, "Well, that's your competition. Have you got 30 grand to spend?" No,
he does.
Exactly, but now you see, you don't need that because the sample libraries are so good and they're so cheap relatively, aren't they? You know,
and they're all vying for your business.
Yes, and the Black Friday sales and everything. So it's quite easy for people now to get into writing music, I think.
Yeah, easier. Yeah. For me, it doesn't necessarily mean you have the musical vocabulary to. No. Which is one thing I will. You know, people. I have friends that send me stuff all the time to check out because they're like, oh, yeah, Ben earns his money in music. He must be all right. And I'm like, got massive imposter syndrome, but somehow I'm here. But, you know, they send me stuff over and, you know, they ask me to be honest. And, of course, depending who that friend is, I will tailor my honesty accordingly, you know. But, you know, it is interesting that, you know, people still want to learn. Still people want to learn to play. Still people want to learn how to play an instrument. Yeah. And despite AI and everything like that, there were still people wanting to learn, you know, like drum lessons and stuff like that, you know, still doing them, which is great, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I still think, there's always going to be that need.
It's a sense of achievement as well.
Yeah.
When you play something, where you discover that that first awesome chord sequence you've got, you're like, oh, yeah. And yes, it's been used in a million songs, but you don't care at that moment because you just wrote that.
So have you had any people try and steal your music?
Yeah, it's interesting, sort of following on from the whole AI and data scraping thing, which is intrinsically theft. So, yeah. So I...
Were you laughing like that at the time it happened? Or is that like...
I think it was that sort of hysterical. What the... Beep? Sort of... yeah, so... we were talking earlier, like, I like doing passion projects sometimes. If someone's keen and they want something done, I'm like, if I've got some time, I'll get involved if I can get behind it. So there was a guy, he called himself a rapper, I was like, okay, cool, and he had a couple of ciphers online and stuff like that, and he did his own mixtape before, as the cool kids call it. I call it a demo. Mixtape, my ass. But, yeah, so I wrote him a song. And I was like, yeah, it's all going well. We're pinging ideas back and forth and all. And eventually he just went quiet. And I was like, oh, I know you're going through some stuff, so I didn't think anything of it. Maybe, I think about a month later, I still not heard from him. So I just thought, maybe he's just completely gone off piste. I don't know. Something bad's happened. I assume the worst because he seemed like a nice person.
They always do, don't they?
Yeah, and I was following his Facebook page because they were like, he's like, can you give my page a like? I haven't got many people.
Did you say, I'll give you a page a like, but that's another 50 quid?
Yeah. Yeah. 75, darling.
Expensive likes, yeah.
I didn't press a mouse button for less than 100. No. But, yeah, so basically... he'd taken the first half of the demo that I did. Well, it wasn't a demo. It sounded really good by then. The instrumental. And he copied and pasted the same thing. And then he'd done his thing over it. And it was pretty bad. Done a terrible vocal mix on it. And it just sounded like he was in a shoebox over this, gloriously produced tune I'd written. But, and then he stuck that online. So that was fun. I think my favorite part was that he approached the PR company that one of my friends works for, and was, I'd already done this massive rant about it, and I tagged the artist in it. It's like, I'm coming for you, mate. I was just like, you don't do that. Yeah. That's just cold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was there a deal in place where he'd pay you so much after a time?
Yeah. So basically, he was going to give me like 300 quid. It's nothing. It's nothing really. Well, that's not fair. It is. It's money. And it's a lot of money to people, but
there was a deal in place.
There's a deal in place.
You were going to get some money.
Yeah, he was going to pay me when he
wasn't going to use it.
Yeah. So I was going to do the full production. He was going to send me his vocals. I was like, look, I was guiding him through how to record with the equipment he had. Again, like I firmly believe, doing the best you can with what you have. You know what I mean? I was just preaching on this mantra, blah, 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 blah. And he just stole my music, man, and stuck it online. It was a sub like quality awfulness. And then somehow he approached a few PR companies. My friend worked for them, and he was just like, so we had this guy approach us, and he's like paid half the money. Is this the guy that stole your music? I went, yeah, yes it is. I was like, please don't work with him. He was like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. So they returned his money and told him, get a life, really. So eventually, through other means, he replied to my message.
All right.
Basically, I just said, I have to take you to court. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to, but you've broken the contract. You signed a contract. That's why I put contracts in place, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And eventually, he was just took it down, apologised. And has now deleted all his social media pages.
Really?
So
what a waste of time.
Right?
Yeah. Did you get any payment from it in the end?
No.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's
Did you go to court or?
No. Didn't need to. Thankfully. I didn't want to. I probably wasn't going to. He had nothing, was the point.
It's the principle though, isn't it?
Yeah. It was the threat of it, And I don't like doing that. But also, don't make a mug of me sort of vibes,
Absolutely.
I was just like, please don't waste my time. I was trying to be nice to you. We had a good thing going. Why did you do that? And that's why I kept saying to myself, why did you feel the need to do that, man? I wasn't charging you for the roof. If you had problems with the money side of things, let me know. You know what I mean? And we could just defer it, or pay me £10 a month for forevermore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just made me sad, man.
Yeah.
But again, like we were saying right at the beginning, there's the sadness around the shysters and stuff like that, But again, it's not going to stop me from reaching out to other people who need some help, or, I've still got to believe in it. I've still got to believe there is some good in humanity. Yeah. People get desperate, I get that, but again, it's what you will and will not tolerate, isn't it? I think that's the bottom line. How much can you be taking the mug for before you go?
Yeah, I've been in that situation a few times, but I suppose over the years I've learned to try and find the little red flags.
Fair.
And you can't always do it. Some people just are so nice and normal, and then 6 months later they're not anything of the sort. Yeah. And you just don't know, do you? Until you've...
It's the ones who pay you some money in advance, sign the contract or, sign an agreement. And then it goes horribly wrong. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've worked,
tricky, innit?
Worked on short films like that.
Right.
Director just turns out to be a complete mentalist, delusional mentalist, There was a short film I did with someone who'd apparently won an Olivier Award.
Oh, right.
And I was like, sure you have.
One of these fictional ones.
Yeah. But, trodden the boards and, in the West End and all that sort of stuff, And the little film was all right. And he had this well-known Danish rapper who was signed to, one of the majors, but they're Danish.
Oh, yeah.
Equivalent, Warner, Denmark, or whatever, And this person had, lots of plays, doing very well for themselves, So they managed to get him to do, a couple of verses, and then we were going to build an instrumental around it for this one particular part of this track. And it's just, it just descended into farce from there, man. And, I haven't thought about that for a long time, but it just popped into my head then. I was just like, oh, yeah, that wasn't fun either.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a therapy, but not a very good one, because it's like bringing up all the bad times.
There is that.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
No, it's all.
Yes, it was a successful podcast. I made him cry.
It is interesting though, isn't it? Because, I've not thought about those things for a little while. And it's only when you sort of say it in passing, you go, hang on a minute. Yeah, that happened. And you're like, right, yeah, let's talk about the dark side of things as well, Oh, there's a lot more darker things. I'm sure you've been through some weird stuff with other people and other clients and all. But
we've had music that comes into our library where it hasn't been owned by the composer, where the composer says, well, this is all my own work, and signs an agreement to that effect. But years ago, there was somebody that was a renowned composer on our library, and he had no need to do this, but he'd managed to accidentally send a demo. When companies used to do demos for keyboards and that?
Yeah, okay.
And you'd get a demo disc, and it'd have a cool soundtrack with the sounds in that keyboard.
Made exclusively with the Yamaha.
That's it, yeah.
XK20.
Yeah. He managed to send us one of those that we obviously hadn't recognised as a demo and thought it was his because he said it was.
Why would he do that?
He shouldn't have done it. You just don't know, do you? People are pain in the arse at times.
That's interesting though, isn't it? It does make my mind wander though. It's just the desperation maybe for, maybe they were in a situation that, maybe so going back to the rapper guy that I work with, he's obviously in a bit of a situation, but also a guy. It's interesting. The guy would send you a keyboard demo disc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you do that? I don't get it.
I think some people like
lazy cutting corners.
Lazy, shortcuts, and that's why AI scares me in the context of people sending music into our library.
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't think people will resist the temptation just to go to AI and put in a prompt and then stick a drum loop over the top of it, and put a keyboard over it and say, "Well, that's mine."
Fair.
And then, of course, that will be tracked at some point. It's like Content ID now. It's good to be able to have it in Content ID, because then when it's used on YouTube, you get the ad rev, not the person that's put the video up.
That's fair.
And if they pay a license, then they get the ad rev. So it's just like a net, really, so that for the people that steal it, you do get something in theory.
I think I find that good on YouTube for that. I don't know how I don't know whether anyone's copied my music on Spotify and just released as their own music. I know people do that, you know. There's a particular YouTuber that I follow. He's like a famous heavy metal guitarist. And like somebody had released an album and it had like 2 of his tracks from his album and then like country and western and 2 tracks from someone else and someone else. And released it as his album. And, you know, because it was being played as part of the algorithm, they were making money out of it. You know, and of course it went sorted out from there. But that's interesting. But yeah, content ID is you know, I've not had any flags yet. So
I remember when Content ID started coming about, it was terrifying for people because everybody went
busted.
Well, everybody went mad because it's like the people that license music, they were doing it so they didn't get any copyright issues. And then next thing, YouTube's saying, "Oh, there's a copyright claim on your video because you've used this music that's in copyright." And of course, then they go back to the libraries and have a meltdown because they paid money to not have that problem. And YouTube was a nightmare for a while. But then they started to there was ways then to actually clear that claim for different clients, and it became easier. So it calmed down. But it is a good thing to sort of keep track of where your music is. And some composers were a bit old school about saying, "Oh, I'm not putting my music in Content ID, I'm keeping it pure." And then the thing is, what can happen then is, so somebody didn't have their music in Content ID, somebody downloaded their music and put it in Content ID for themselves. And then their music all over YouTube was generating them money. So they then had to, so it's best to put it in Content ID if it's out there, I think. Otherwise, someone else might.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, anything I've actually released, I usually do a video for. Anyway, I make a music video and I do a release on streaming media and check out for my own entertainment. So there is the link to that, and it's all through a particular release platform who protects you anyway, covers you. But again, you can't do anything about it if it's on streaming media sites anyway. YouTube, I agree with you, different kettle of fish, you know. But again, no one's flagged. So
if you know it's there, you could do something.
Yeah, for sure.
You use the DMCA takedown notice.
Yeah.
And then they've got to do something.
You've got 18 days to respond, otherwise we'll smite you again with a strongly worded email.
That's a strongly worded email, That's it. But I think AI will have the same sort of thing in the end. I think AI flags will appear on things, so that'll be interesting. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it is on Deezer already.
That's interesting. I'd like to look into that.
Yeah, because Deezer's got a thing that sniffs out AI and it puts an AI label on it, so you know.
So what about? So I just don't know there. Sorry to jump in, but what about like same as like, you know, false positives? You know, like you would if you were, you know, like an antivirus, you know, and coding and stuff like that. I'm just thinking about, you know, my IT side of things. You know, like a false positive on a call, and then you have to like prove that you sung it, prove that you wrote it. And again, what happens if, you know, going back to that point that I made earlier about, you know, you use an AI vocalist, but you piano rolled that shit all in there and you wrote all the lyrics and you put them into there and then you moved it and you applied all that to it and you took ages doing it. And then someone goes, AI.
Well, I think I don't understand the technicality of it fully, but I think...
So I like playing devil's advocate sometimes.
It's fine. I think from what I understand of it, anything that's generated has got markers in it that you can easily find it's AI. And also, from what is being put into it, you can actually find fragments of DNA, let's say, of an artist. So, for instance, if you used part of a Mariah Carey track for a Christmas piece that you generated, AI used a bit of Mariah.
Sure, yeah.
Then it's traceable.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any way around it because it is just something that a machine can look at and go, well, machine created this. Whereas the scenario with the voice tool where you put all the notes in and all the rest of it, and it's just making the sound using AI, that's different because you're using a sample library. That's like saying, you know, Spitfire.
It's not a sample library though, it's an LLM. So it's a large language model that is trained. So it's not, it's trained, yes, it's fed the data, but it's not a sample library.
No.
So
But the output is a sample, isn't it?
you can say that about any output though. You create that's an all output. That's live drum recordings, but that's a sample at the end of it, is it not?
It is.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it is, but there isn't, that is your sample, isn't it? So there's no nothing generated in that can be traced.
Sure.
It's like if you'd put that into Content ID, that could be traced. And so I think the future will be that if it's got AI in it, it'll be traced.
Okay. Interesting.
But I think there's different levels of AI. I mean, I think something that spits out an 8-bar loop and it's just AI is different to, say, one of these instruments where you put the notes in and then what it generates is based on what notes you've put in. That's going to be quite unique, isn't it, I suppose?
I think it's, yeah. And this is what I like to argue about. Well, not argue about, discuss with further, I just think it's interesting, people say they're going to be able to find it out. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that still gets by. And also I think, unless you, so I'd be interested to know, I need to look into this Deezer thing because I'd love to know how it's analyzing the data.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And how it gets this information from, and I appreciate like Ace Studio are now imprinting things in their renders. This is made with Ace Studio, stuff like that. But I don't know whether they've done it on like a spectrographics level, right? But I haven't got that. I'm bothered looking into that far, But that's where I would be interested. You know what I mean? And I tell you what I did find funny. It's just like like social media platforms were like almost asking for the goodwill of humanity to be like, was this made with AI? Yeah. Come on, click this box just to be sure. People were like, no, it's not AI.
Yes, that person had 6 fingers.
It's a cat driving a car. I'm like, come on.
No, I think that's going to change because that will be automatically detected. Interesting. Yeah. It's got to be because of the EU law that's coming in. Article 50, 2nd of August, every company that posts stuff will have to declare what's AI and what's not.
So the company has to declare or the user has to?
Well, no, the company. So the companies are now looking at ways to track it and display what's AI. So if you look at TikTok, they've got something that tracks it and displays it. I think some of them are asking you to say whether it's AI, but they will be if you don't put it is AI and it is, I think there will be a way.
Yeah. But will they ban people?
Well, they're going with the EU law that's coming in. It's 3% of your turnover or 15 million euros. So I think the companies
per incident per example.
I don't know whether it's per incident. Yeah. So I think the companies will have an interest in getting it right.
For sure.
And Deezer have done it. They've got this thing that tracks
AI. They made this mess in the first place, so they can sort it out, right?
Well, yeah. So, and I think Spotify will end up having to do the same thing, which to me I think makes sense because I would like to go to Spotify when I use it and select a filter that says no AI music. Why can't I do that?
That's fair. Yeah. Or just don't have it in any way, shape or form. And then all the tech bros out in Silicon Valley can go back to scrubbing cars and cleaning ovens and stuff.
He's out of the bottle, isn't it?
That is fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, I don't have any issue with AI in some ways. In other ways, I do. Yeah. But from my point of view in music, I think transparency will be the key. Because, I'm hearing people talk about temp tracks that are now made with AI. So, you get the things where people have trolled libraries and have sent out temp tracks for the composer to sort of redo it in their own way. But the temp tracks now are starting to appear as AI tracks. So somebody's gone to something like Suno and has generated the tracks and send them to composers to actually turn into proper tracks.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that. I've heard that a few times now from different people. So it's going to be used as a tool, but clearly the people that are sending the temp tracks still want it turning into a real track.
Real thing, yeah. And therein, who actually wrote it?
Well, it depends what you do.
Suno or...
Yeah, I mean, if you copy it entirely, then I would say morally, I have got no grounds to claim ownership because all I've done is reverse engineer it. But in the eyes of the law, that's enough to claim copyright because you've had human intervention. So
on that note, that's interesting then. So, hypothetically, imagine if Suno then suddenly started to sue these individual people who were using their tool to create a original piece of music, which they then gave to a composer or whatever, who then recorded it, and then they released it, and it did well, And Suno go, hang on a minute,
It wouldn't surprise me if they would want a piece of the pie because they're greedy, aren't they? But whether they could, I mean,
because where was their data scraped from initially?
Exactly, yeah, the mainstream. I mean, but I suppose to the way of looking at it is, I mean, I wouldn't do it, right? I mean, I think going forward, transparency is the key. I want to do more custom tracks for people.
Yeah, based on briefs and stuff, or just...
I mean, for this podcast, I've had to sit down and write myself a little piece of music. And the first few attempts weren't really the thing. But now I've got something that I'm going to finish and is going to do the job. Now, if somebody came along and said, I've got a podcast and I want a custom piece of music, I would be happy to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's then, well, what do you charge? Because it takes a lot of time, doesn't it? Let's say it takes me a day to write a podcast intro because of the speed that my brain works at on my music.
For sure.
Everyone works at different speeds. Some people can knock out a tune in a couple of hours.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. What do you charge then? You've got to charge what you can. And then you've always got the thing that, I don't want to pay that much. But then you see, I think that's where AI could be quite useful because rather than having to sort of come up with all of the idea, I could say to a client that's got piss all budget, well, we can use AI and this is how we can use it to save you money.
Yeah.
So we'll get AI to come up with some ideas and I will reverse engineer the ones that we like.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing a custom music job. All right, I'm not composing it from scratch. But what will happen, I think, is that you'll hear something that comes out of AI and you'll go, it's not quite there.
Yeah.
But it's given me an idea.
It's given me an idea. Yeah.
So I think from that point of view, it'd be really good. But what I would never do is put anything of mine into an AI model.
Interesting.
Because it'll be part of the AI model. And I would never use anything straight out of it. And even if somebody said, I want this completely reverse engineering, all the melody, all the guitar chords and whatever it is in it, I want it completely the same, I would be very cautious of doing that. And I would say, well, I'll do it, but be aware that this might cause you a problem in the future.
Yeah.
Because Suno...
And I want that in writing.
And have that in writing, yes, absolutely, yeah. Because the likes of Suno and Udio, they don't guarantee copyright of no, let's get it right. They don't guarantee that the music that's created won't infringe copyright.
Yeah, fair.
So if they're saying that...
Unsurprisingly,
yeah. So they're saying that there's the possibility that it could generate something that's too close to something that already exists.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think mucking around with them is fun in that instance. And just for a comedic thing, is like, I like trying to type, I've done it for, maybe a year or so, but I was just like, write a Slayer song. I was just like, it's like, I love Slayer when I was like 16. And it turned out a pretty passable Slayer cover. I went on the occasional those weird, the AI honk, as I call it, where it's obviously processed it a little bit wrong. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good riff. You know what I mean?
That's definite copyright danger, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But again, I wouldn't put it out as my own thing. I was just like, let's see what you can do.
Some people would.
Let's see what you can do. Yeah. Come on in, computer. Let's see if you can outdo me.
Some people would put it out as their own thing, and some people would even put it out into other libraries as their own thing, I reckon.
Well, and this is, I totally get that, man. So, I appreciate the caution you need to apply to your own business model while still wading through what the future looks like in this. Yeah. The driftwood and the detritus and
the bodies.
Yeah. I used a sampler once. Yeah, dude.
Oh, that's funny. No, I mean, it's. I think it's going to be a good tool though, because I don't know about you, but I often get into a scenario where I've got a really good melody, I've got a really good counter melody, and I've got this idea for an epic orchestral piece, for instance, but I don't know what the dozens of bloody strings are going to be doing. I've got it in my head that there's a pattern underneath, and I can work out the pattern, and then I can work out which instruments are going to play what part of the pattern. But the thing is, that's a standard pattern.
Yeah.
It's an arrangement, and it will fit into this standard pattern. There might be 100 of these standard patterns for, say, the violas that you've got in mind, and you do one of those, and it might take 2 days then to get this sounding right. Yeah. Won't it be great if AI can just go, if you could just say to AI, look, I need an 8-bar pattern, this is my chord sequence, I want offbeats, I want spiccato.
Yeah.
And it generates something, and then you can say, well, in MIDI, for instance.
Yeah. Well, that's what Ace Studio does.
Yeah.
And Suno started doing it as part of the Suno Studio, as far as I'm aware. Right. Again, I don't know, I haven't done an account, but I keep seeing the videos and stuff. But yeah, Ace Studio definitely does it. You can do audio to MIDI and MIDI to audio and stuff like that. I wonder how
Ace Studio does it, because if Suno did it, I would never use it. I would hear the pattern, get the stems, and I would redo it by playing it. I would just use it as an inspiration.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I would never trust the audio that came out of Suno because of its DNA.
No, fair. Yeah.
I wonder if Ace Studio has done anything different, or whether they're using the same scrape pool of stolen tracks.
From what I understand, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that they paid singers and generated from that. You know what I mean? Mm. So, like, you can record yourself. You can feed it. You can feed it like X amount of data, and it requires like a minimum of something like 50 minutes of data to get a half decent capture. You can do something with 20 minutes.
Yeah. And is that you singing, you mean? Or
yeah, singing or recordings, So a little while ago, in one of the earlier iterations of it, I wanted to see how could it make it sound like me. Right. So I uploaded like 50 minutes of recordings, just like vocal stems from over the years. And it was pretty awful.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it didn't sound good at all. Right. So I guess the model was just going.
I wonder if anyone else has now got your voice in some of their generated tracks.
The thing is, you can agree to share it with the community or not, and whether part of your party agree, whether it's true or not is different. But again, it sounded that bad that I don't think anyone would use it. That's the thing. So,
it might be a hit.
Well, to be, but yeah, no, I used to have a sweet singing voice back in the day.
Might be a new genre.
Yeah. Incomprehensibly mumbling. But yeah. I think we've covered some good ground there, man. It's interesting. So, yeah. It's been an interesting chat because I can see I can definitely see from your angle, and I can see how much it affects you as a person as well. Not just.
Well, I just seem angry and twitchy.
Oh no, but just you pick up on things. You know what I mean? Right. Like I understand that.
Okay, so to round off our chat, what are your plans for the future?
Cry when AI takes over.
When AI makes us both jobless.
Yeah, I don't know. Keep going. Keep enjoying my jobs. Keep doing passion projects, really. And above all, I'll just keep writing music. I love writing music. One thing I've been wanting to get back more into is get out of the studio and play live again with people. So I've got like 3 live bands that I'm slowly working on. I play drums in like a heavy metal band.
You're in 3 live bands now?
Yeah. Because I want to play again. And playing live is something that cannot be cloned. It cannot be generated. You know what I mean? And people still want that live human experience. And there's still something very Neanderthal about it in a way. On a very base level, there's still something like, that bass tone.
Gets the adrenaline going, doesn't it?
For sure, yeah. So that's what I'm doing, So as much as I love doing the tech, I've come full circle again because I used to play I used to play in bands. I used to tour a lot. I was on record labels. I did session work and all as a musician. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore because reasons. But I've come full circle again, and I want to play. I love being in a room with people. I love hitting the stage. So so that's my future, my immediate future.
Yeah. What are your instruments? I can see guitars, obviously, but
so I play drums in a death metal band. So it's good fun, but it's a technical workout. I'm not a young man anymore. It is a young man's game, but I honestly, I love that once a week we would get together and we get in a room and have a good workout. Warm up properly. And then we just have it. And when it all links in, I get that tingle in the back of my neck, man. You know what I mean? It's all like, it is military precision. And, we all just look at it, oh, that was awesome, And I come home and I'm sweaty and I've had a good workout and I feel energized. I'm playing this keyboard, but another keyboard, and my Rolly in a dance band. So I write a lot of dance and electronic music, so I've got 2 vocalists.
So that's a bit of a change from the other band, then.
But that's it. I can't just write one style. I can't do it. I get bored too easily, man. I love heavy metal, but this is like all the dance music that I write. So it's ranging from drum and bass through to trip hop and everything in between. And I'm going to play acoustic again. I used to do singer-songwriter sort of stuff. It's interesting, isn't it? As a studio-based people that we are, that you still have to come full circle to because you go, there's something missing in my life. And what is it? I need that human interaction. And again, to cap this off, that's why I think AI will still lose out at the end.
That's an excellent ending point, I think. Great.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, brilliant. Enjoyed that.
Music Now. Conversations.